Brother Uthman, Jazakallah khair, he asked me to talk a little about seeking knowledge. So, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa Rasulullah. Just a brief introduction, inshallah. He might be going away to study, and Jazakallah khair, he had husn al-dhan, any good thoughts about me, and may Allah accept, inshallah. And I say, as Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to say, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa a'na bi nafsi, wa ana a'na bi nafsi minhum. Allahumma ja'alni khayran mimma yadhunnun, waghfir li ma la ya'lamun, wa la tu'akhidhni bima yaqulun. Like, basically, I know myself, and I know you know me better than everybody, and I know myself. So please don't take me into account for what they say, and make me better than what they think, inshallah, and forgive me for what they don't know. So inshallah, just trying to help the best I can, but of course I have my mistakes. But Jazakallah khair, he had husn al-dhan. So I will give you briefly some tools on seeking knowledge. The first and most important thing is having ikhlas, or sincerity, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you hope for this knowledge that you please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you lift the ignorance of yourself. Like, you're not seeking knowledge for knowledge's sake, to show off or to teach or to get positions and stuff like that. Those are things that can come, like the teaching part, inshallah, as a side fruit. But your main fruit is to lift the ignorance from yourself for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you can know what's right and wrong and worship Him better. And that's a pure niyyah. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ خَشْيَةٌ. Real knowledge is khashya, having fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that which brings that fear and that khashya and that taqwa, that's real ilm. Number 2, just this, I brought this to get an idea, like, for seeking knowledge. These 2 books, amongst other books, are just about that subject alone. So, Jamia Bayn al-Ilmi wa Fadlihi by Ibn Abdul Barr, rahimahullah. It's a 2-volume work. All this is about knowledge and seeking knowledge. And then this one, Kitab al-Faqih wal-Mutafaqih, by Khatib al-Baghdadi, is also all about seeking knowledge. So just to give you an understanding, like, it's good to know what the scholars preach about that, because it's a very important subject. Al-ilmu ibadah, or seeking knowledge, talabul ilm ibadah. One of the best worships you can do is seeking knowledge. So for having knowledge, for ibadah to be accepted, you need to have what? Ikhlas and muwafaqat al-sharia, sincerity, and go in accordance to the sharia. So it's good to purify your intentions and know how to seek knowledge correctly. Number 2, making du'a. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, Rabbi zidni ilma, oh Allah, oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge. That's the du'a that Allah taught to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, Allahumma allimni bima yanfa'uni wa anfa'ni bima 'allamtani wa zidni ilma. Oh Allah, teach me that which will benefit me, and benefit me with that which you have taught in me, and increase me in knowledge. Right? And he used to seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from non-beneficial knowledge. So we should try our best, inshallah, to make these ad'iyah that are in the Quran and the Sunnah about increasing us in knowledge. And some of the scholars used to say, Ya mu'allim Adama allamni, wa ya mufahhim as-Sulaymana fahamni. Oh, the one who taught Adam, teach me. Oh, the one who let Sulaiman understand, let me understand. Right? So dua is a very important point of getting your, inshallah, getting knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you don't have tawfiq from Him, then no matter how much you study, it won't come. Also ask your parents to make dua for you, because the dua of the parents is very important for their children. Tell them, Mom, Dad, I'm trying to seek knowledge, please make dua for me, and it will be a benefit for you too. Number 3, the blessings of the parents. The many ahadith and ayat in the Quran about obeying the parents and being kind to the parents. And I don't know, like, from all the scholars' lives that I've read about, any scholar that was known to be cruel or mean to their parents, right? I haven't come across it. So in general, you want the blessings of the parents. Number 4, having taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ وَيُعَلِّمَكُمُ اللَّهِ. Fear Allah and Allah will teach you. Right? Taqwa is the asas, or the key to getting any knowledge. Right? Staying away from sin, that's taqwa too. Like this famous statement about Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, it's attributed to him that he just looked upon the calf of a woman, and he used to have like a photographic memory, and it says that he started like his memory wasn't as strong as before. So he said, شكوت إلى وكيء سوء حفظي فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي وأخبرني بأن العلم نور والنور الله لا يؤتى ولا يهدى للعاصي. That I complained to Waki' about the weakness of my memorization, and he told me to leave the sin. For verily knowledge, and he told me that knowledge is light, and the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not given to the sinful one. Right? So number 4, have taqwa and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try your best to stay away from sin. Number 5, have humbleness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The Ibadur Rahman, the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the servants of the merciful, they walk on the earth humbly. Right? Have humbleness. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, مَنْ تَوَاضَعَ لِلَّهِ رَفْعَهُ اللَّهِ. Whoever humbles himself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will raise him up. Right? Seeking knowledge, you have to humble yourself. Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, he said, like, a true student of knowledge is not a true student of knowledge until he learns from those who are above him, those who are at his level, and those who are below him. Right? Why below him? Because it teaches you humbleness. Imam Sufyan ibn Uyayna rahimahullah, he was approached by a person, and the person was telling him like a narration, and he sat quietly and smiled and listened to it like as if he was listening to it for his first time. And after the man left, his student went to him and he said, you taught us this narration, but you were sitting there like you never heard it before. And he said, by Allah, I learned this narration more than 20 years ago. Right? But out of respect for the knowledge, I didn't open my mouth. I didn't want to open my mouth or say anything. Right? That's humbleness for knowledge, respecting the scholars. A lot of the scholars would say, and you read in these books and other books that, some people complain like they're not exciting or they're not, whatever in the lesson. So a lot of scholars say like if you don't see the students enthused, stop teaching. Like just close your mouth and sit there, basically, because they're not deserving of it. Right? Not everybody's going to be like exactly how you want. You're going to find some scholars that are very strict, some scholars that are, not as enthusiastic in speaking, right? But have humbleness and seek and make dua that you can benefit from it, right? Inna dhikra tanfa'al mu'mineen. The reminder reminds of we only have one Quran and we have the limited amount of Sunnah, right? There's nothing new in our deen. So obviously we're going to repeat stuff and you're going to hear stuff over and over again. But are you benefiting from those things, right? So be very careful to humble yourself for knowledge's sake, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah gives you tawfiq and increases you in knowledge. Also from this humbleness is to be very careful not to talk bad about scholars or the righteous, right? That can destroy your good deeds. Like one of my shuyukh, he used to tell us sometimes, like the people we would be studying in the Masjid al-Nabawi, and we sit there from like Dhuhr all the way to Isha sometimes. And sometimes, alhamdulillah, we would fast, and we would attend the lectures, and we try to do like a bunch of alhamdulillah, we would try to compete in good deeds. Like, Jazahumullah khair, a lot of beautiful students there. And he's saying like, after all that, you sit there from Dhuhr till Isha, you're fasting, you're attending lectures, you're making dhikr, you're reading the Quran, right? And he said someone will say, the Imam, he didn't recite that great or something like that tonight. He said like you might lose all those good deeds just for that one statement, Or the mu'adhin, he's not like normal or something just simple like that. Like we won't really think it's a big deal, but he said like you can lose all your good deeds for that, right? Be very careful about lahm al-ulama masmoom. The flesh of the scholars is poison. Would you eat poison if I give you poison? No. Right? When you backbite the scholars, that's the same thing like you're taking poison. So humble yourself and be patient. And I talked to a brother recently, Jazakallah khair. He was, intending good, inshallah. But, even stuff that you post on the internet and somebody acts upon it, you give bad advice or you say something bad and a person acts upon it, on Yawm al-Qiyamah you might be asked for that. You like a person, you discourage them from seeking knowledge, or you spoke bad about such and such people, and the person's like, yeah, you're right, I'm not going to go learn knowledge. And so he goes, instead of going to seek knowledge, he might go to astaghfirullah, nightclub or some haram thing, right? And you might carry a portion of that. So be very careful, humble yourself in knowledge. And like I said, these are just some books about seeking knowledge, and it's a long subject, and it's very important to learn the adab and the etiquette of seeking knowledge. Inshallah, maybe if you guys want, we can just do like a little bit every time after each dars, just a little nasiha to remind ourselves, or every once in a while, inshallah. I won't mind doing that. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us beneficial knowledge and to help us to obey Him and fear Him and worship Him correctly. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the good of this world and the next, and save us from the hellfire. Jazakumullah khairan. If you guys have any questions, تفضلوا. Okay, so basically how to balance being a student of knowledge and the affairs of the dunya, either working or being a student in college, to summarize. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تحقرن المعروف شيئا, like do not look down upon any good deed, no matter how little it is, right? And the other hadith about the woman being saved from the hellfire for a tamr, right? The hadith of Aisha, when she was feeding, the woman was very poor, she only had like 2 or 3 dates, and she gave them to her daughters and she didn't eat, right? And Aisha was like amazed at that, and the Prophet ﷺ said, are you amazed with this? From that tamr she was saved from the hellfire. So even a small thing, don't look down upon it. Even if it's just one lecture, or even if it's just one book that you read, don't look down upon it. I know some scholars that were medical doctors, some of the top engineers in the world, and they were some of the greatest scholars of Islam, like in our lifetime. I sat with them and I met with them. So they obviously found the balance. It was tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I said taqwa is very important, because when you have taqwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blesses your time, right? You don't have to sleep as much, you don't have to eat as much, you don't have to do like frivolous stuff as much. You find you have more barakah in your time, so you could read a lot more, you can attend lectures, right? You can accomplish a lot. So that's why taqwa is very important, So like I said, don't ever underestimate even little things. Like if you read a book, if you have a fixed time every single day, you're going to read that book at this time, no matter what. At least like say just 5 minutes, that's your minimum. You're going to read a book 5 minutes every day. If you go above it, alhamdulillah. But you can set something like that and you can accomplish a lot. Right? If I want to memorize 1 ayah a day, is that hard to do? No. Right? But shaitan tries to trick people and be like, oh, you got to do all this, you got to do this, you got to do that. You get so busy that you end up accomplishing nothing. But just be patient and do like little by little, inshallah you can accomplish a lot. Mountains are built from tiny rocks. So that's a brief any advice, inshallah. If I can give you more later. Jazakallah khair.